Gotta tell you something. Look, never pay your charge-offs or collections. Now, never is a strong word. So let me take a step back. Or should I say a roll back. Never pay your charge-offs or collections. Now, the reason why I say never is a strong word, so let me roll back a little bit before I dive into the never aspect of it, is because when it comes to charge-offs and collections, if you have already started communicating with them and possibly admitted to owing them or whatever it is they're trying to collect on, then you might have to actually go about paying those charge-offs or collections due to the fact that you opened up that door that let them know or be able to give them enough rope to hang you with and say, you know what, they do owe us because we got them on record saying this. We got them admitting to this. So if that's the case, then by all means, you may have to pay. And I say may because it's always another way around it to do certain things. But for the individual who has not had any communication with the person who is trying to collect something, this video is for you. Now, I want to give you an example of why you never want to pay collections or charge-offs if you fall into this category, because a lot of times they operate incorrectly and they're doing things illegally in terms of the rights that are there to protect you. The Fair Credit Reporting Act, protects you from some of the things that they're doing. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act protects you from some of the things that it is that they're doing. So that's a whole nother conversation. I won't go into that. What I specifically want to do is give you an idea so you can understand, oh, that actually makes sense. Now I see why I shouldn't be engaging in conversation with them or paying back a charge off or a collection. So imagine if you asked me to borrow $500. And I'm not recommending that you do that, but let's say you asked me to borrow $500 and I cashed that to you. I sent it to you. And then you run into somebody, and I tried to collect on it. You didn't pay as you needed to. Contacted you a couple of times. You didn't pay. I sent a request for my money. You ignored it. And then months later, you run into something. Assume we live in two totally different states. Months later, you run into somebody that you didn't know and say, hey, Mr. Smith, you owe Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith said you need to pay that $500. Now, you don't know them, and you don't really know if I know them. How likely are you to give them the $500? You don't even know them. That just came up on you and like, dude, what do you mean I owe Mr. Smith $500? How likely are you to pay them? If I didn't tell you that they were going to be collecting on my behalf, you didn't even agree to pay me because you started ducking and dodging me automatically. But on the flip side, somebody else is coming to you to collect the $500 that you owe me. How likely are you to pay them? Did you go into an agreement with them? Did you admit that you were going to pay them? Do you even know them? Does their name even sound familiar? Does their name even ring a bell? Even though they're in your state and they're trying to collect, quote unquote, on my behalf, do you even know them? And the chances are slim to none that you're going to pay them because you don't know them and you don't even know if they're connected to me. They just say, hey, Mr. Smith said you owe him $500. How likely are you to pay them? Most people will say, not at all. If anything, you might do something to them. But if they run up on you trying to ask you for some money, you might, do something to them due to the fact that they catch you off guard and you don't know what they got on their mind. So that's the same thing as it relates to a collection company. You didn't go into a contract or an agreement or agree to pay them. And you don't know them. You didn't even recognize their name. You don't recognize their number if they call. You don't recognize this entity when it shows up on your credit report because you did not go into a relationship with them. So if you did not go in a relationship with them, why should you be paying them? That's one way to look at it. So I want you to understand it operates the same way. Now, granted, I might have knew somebody that was in your area and said, you know what? I see she ain't gonna pay me this $500 or he ain't gonna pay me this $500, but I'm gonna go ahead and collect $250 from Mr. Williams so he can see if he can get the full $500 from her or him since they live in the same area. He paid me $250, like, yeah, I'm gonna be able to get it from her. I'm in this area all the time. I can apply some pressure and get that $500. So if I get $500, then I double my money. Meanwhile, I'm cool because I got $250. $250 is better than nothing because you weren't going to give me nothing. But they gave me $250, so I'm cool with that. And now they own the debt because I sold it to them. I sold the debt to them. That's the same way the collection agencies are doing. Now their goal is to try to get $500 from you so they can double the $250 that they paid me. Or even if they can get $300 or $400 or $450 or $500 or more, then they've doubled their money. But how likely are you to pay them? Very unlikely. So that's the same way it works, and hopefully that makes sense to you. Now, by understanding that you should never pay them if you haven't engaged or admitted that you owe them in any way, shape, form, fashion, you want to go about the process of even verifying that you owe them. And in many cases, they can't verify that you owe them. They can't validate that that debt belongs to you. So that's what we come in at. That's how you allow us to either work on your behalf, or you take advantage of the free credit class down below so you can understand how to go through the process to get collections removed, charge-offs removed, because many times they can't verify it, or they have inaccurate information that's lingering on your credit report, causing your credit to be less than ideal, even though you can get those things removed because you never did have a contract or go into an agreement with them. So that being said, that's why you never pay based on those scenarios. But if you want to go about cleaning it up, grab that free credit class or book a consultation with us, and we'll be glad to work on your behalf. Share this video with somebody else that you feel may benefit. Like, subscribe. That's all I got. See you on the next video. Salute.